Hi there everybody, this is Natasha. So today's empties is going to be a little bit different to what I normally do my empties. So normally I go through my tub of empties twice a month. I normally do a bi-monthly and a end of monthly empties, and I normally separate them from Scentsy and vendor wax, but I've decided to jump on board on what's called a Lowbuycollab, going around the YouTube community, and we've been given weekly themes of what to melt. So normally I don't pull a melting basket, and normally I don't do a weekly empty. So this is going to be a little bit different for me. So this weekly empties consists of week 3 Lowbuycollab theme, which was Risky Week. I did put up a video of what I intended to melt. I am going to say before I start going in what I actually melted. This is what I actually melted out of the intended to melt out of my melting basket. I pulled, and there was still a fair bit I actually didn't get through also. I ended up being down a few warmers this week, so a lot of what I intended to melt in my daughter's room didn't happen because it has now become a room for my husband for the next 7 to 14 days. He was a close contact at his mine, at the mines where he works, with someone that tested positive for COVID, and they tested everyone at his work and he ended up with a positive result. So he has been put into quarantine in that room. So the 4 warmers that I would normally use in my daughter's room have not been in use because he is in quarantine in that room, away from the rest of the family. My son's room. My youngest son likes to have me melting wax. The eldest one doesn't. He tends to turn all the warmers off when I put them on. He's got a thing about having lots of things going at once. He's been constantly in there over this holiday period playing, so I tend to be able to warm more in his room when he's at school. So I'm also being down a few warmers there. I have been warming a little bit in that room, but not as much as I would intend to. So most of my warming has been focused on the main bedroom here, the lounge room, kitchen, open concept area, the bathroom, and the dining room. So let's delve into what I actually got through, what my thoughts and impressions were. So when I did choose this melting basket, I did say that I was, for me, risky were wax bars that had probably been sitting there for a while that I may have picked up intending to try, but on cold smell didn't like, or I may have tried once or twice and there may have been a reason why I hadn't picked up there. So I went for bars that have been sitting there for a while that I just didn't normally reach for. So let's talk about what I got through. So I put this in my bedroom. This was Bamboo Violet. So this was a scent of the month last year, and I can't remember what month it was. So this was a scent of the month that was in Australia. I don't know if region 2 got this scent of the month as well. I know region 1, which a lot of you guys participating in this collab didn't get this one. Now, on cold, I remember not liking the smell. And there was a reason. I did try it, I did make samples, I did warm through it, but there was a reason why I never reached for the remaining of my scent of the month kit. So I have about 3 or 4 of these left. I think I've got maybe 3 left now that I've gone through this bar, and warming it I really enjoyed and I really loved. But as soon as I started warming it, I remembered the reason why I don't reach for it, and why I'll probably end up gifting the rest of my bars at some stage to a friend or relative. And that is because there are very few bars, and I will say there are a few, but very few. I haven't found any in vendor wax yet, but there have been 1, 2, 3 other bars besides this one that set off a headache for me. I suffer from sinus, I suffer from hay fever, and there are a few that kind of trigger that hay fever, sinusitis, migraine. So the few that do that are Just Breathe. It is so strong for some reason. There's something in it that I just can't stand. So Just Breathe is not one that I enjoy. I do not like at all. Another one that I do not like at all is from the Mix It collection, and that is the orange and mandarin one. I can't remember what it was called, but the orange based one, that citrus note, and it could be the citrus note in Just Breathe that triggered it too, I don't know. But that citrus note in that orange Mix It collection set off a massive migraine for me. The other one was the jasmine and orange one, which is just recently, or that will be discontinuing. Hold on a minute while I grab the catalogue and I'll be able to tell you what it is. So, the other one that I found I absolutely love on cold, and I would love to warm it, but when I made samples when it was a scent of the month, it just triggered that sinus migraine, so I just can't warm that one. And that was the Safari Sunset. So Safari Sunset was another one, and this was one that did it to me too. So it's got violet in it, it's got bamboo in it. I don't know if it's the bamboo or if it's, I don't think it's the violet, because I can go through marshmallow, lavender, violet from the garden collection and really enjoy it. So I'm interested to see. I haven't worn this new scent of the month yet, which also has bamboo in it, to see if maybe it's that. But there is something in here that triggers it. So when it warms, more of that violety floral comes through, which I enjoy more than this green bitter bamboo note that I can smell. And it is very pretty when it's warm. It's quite a good performer now it's cured. When I first got it, I didn't think it would be a good performer, but it is quite strong. My head just can't take it. So I do have an empty cotton cleanup thing in here, because as I said, I normally do a big empties once a month and once every bi-month. So I will quickly show you that, even though it's not part of what you'd necessarily call Risky Week. So I popped into the kitchen. Now I've only gone through 3 of these cubes. This is not Scentsy. So this is banana, mango, caramel cheesecake from Ava Rose Candles. And I wasn't sure what I would feel about this. On cold, I can smell that milky sour note, but when it's warming, it reminds me a little bit of banana berry. It gives you that soft banana pudding type note, but instead of that berry sweet in the background, it's more of a very tropical mango-y sweet note, because it does have obviously mango in it. So you get more of that tropical note with a banana pudding. It was very soft, and that's why I haven't gone through the whole bar yet. I want to try it again and see if I was just thinking it was soft, because what I did actually do at the same time in the mini warmers, this is not risky, but from Mad Witch Spooky Melts, I was warming a bit of my coffee scented espresso Patronium, which is a basic coffee malt, and I don't know if the coffee overtook that and made it smell lighter than it actually should have. So that's why I've kept 3 of these to try again at a later date. Saying that though, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of Abbey Rose's wax consistency as a whole. It's very grainy. As I was saying, it's very grainy. As you can see, like even like taking it out of the clamshell, it splits trying to take it out. And one of the things why I warm a lot more of Scentsy wax over my vendor wax is because I just find they are a messy cleanup. A lot of the time I will have to make sure that they're completely melted and use a cotton cleaner to clean out, and a lot of the vendor wax are quite good with me doing that. I can soak it up if they're completely melted. I might leave a little bit of glitter in some of the ones that are glitters, but I can just get my alcohol wipe and a little cotton bud and clean that glitter out of my dishes. But this one, even when it's completely melted, you soak it up with the cotton cleanups and there's still clumpy, grainy bits through it. I do find it's a harder cleaner. I did take on Edda's idea, and because I do love to cook and I do love to bake, I had some silicone muffin things in my drawer which I never really used, because I just find when I'm baking and cooking with 4 kids, it's easier for me to bake and cook by just spraying and throwing baking paper down on my baking trays rather than fiddling with the cute little silicone muffins and trying to make things look pretty for time wise. So I never really use those silicone muffins, so I did take her idea and melt it in one of them so I could just have clean up a little bit easier, which is probably what I will do going forward with vendor wax. So let's talk about what else I use. So in the main area, and you can see this is pretty goopy and gooey, I had left over from the Easter collection last year a Jumpin' Jelly Bean. So I wasn't a fan of this particular scent, which is why I decided again to take on Edda's idea. Last summer she did a mixture of Beach Daisy and Jumpin' Jelly Bean and said she really liked it. So I kind of had that in the back of them, or it was her last winter that she did it, but for us it was her last summer, but for us it was our winter. So I wasn't in the mood for those type of scents in our winter here because I am a seasonal melter. So I had that in the back of their mind come summer to use up my last Jumpin' Jelly Bean. I would try her mixture of Jumpin' Jelly Bean and Beach Daisy so I could use up my last bar of Jumpin' Jelly Bean. I personally find by itself Jumpin' Jelly Bean too lolly, candy, sickly sweet for me. And I also find with a lot of Scentsy's pear notes, there are 2 that I really do love. I love honey pear cider and I love honeysuckle pear, which was March's 20 scent of the month here in region 3. I don't get that note that I smell in a lot of their other pear notes. A lot of their other pear notes I get a very tart, acidic, note that I just don't like, and I do get that in Jumpin' Jelly Bean. But I will say when I mixed it with Beach Daisy, so I did have Beach Daisy in my Scentsy Club for quite a while until I decided I liked Here Come the Sunflowers just a little bit better and took Beach Daisy out. Beach Daisy to me is a bright, happy floral, and if a scent had a colour, it does kind of remind me of yellow. I just get a bright, sweet, happy floral from Beat Daisy. And I do found that that masked that pear note that I didn't like. It took down that sweet note that I didn't like in Jumping Jelly Bean. And I actually quite enjoyed this combination. So this was a very, very pretty, bright, summer, sweet, fruity, florally combination, which I really did enjoy while that was warming. So I did get one bar in my daughter's room before it became the quarantine room for my husband. So this was Looney Tunes. I absolutely do not like this bar at all. I had one left over from when it got released. To me, it's again one of those very kid punchy type smells. Overly sugarly sweet for me, just a little bit too sweet. Kid Punch, my daughter absolutely loved it, so which is why I didn't end up giving it away, because I knew my daughter would like it. But it is a strong performer too, and it did kind of trickle out into the hallway, into the open concept area when I was warming it. But that was the one bar I did actually get to go through and get rid of in my daughter's room before it became the out of bounds area of the house. So, open concept area again. Simply Rose. I enjoy this scent. The others in my family probably not so much. You do have to like rose to like this scent. You do have to like floral. It's an extremely strong performer, and it's a very heady, powdery, sharp rose note. Now I did decide to tone it down a little bit by putting a watery scent in. I was going to do my last 3 cubes of the Mix It collection, which I do really enjoy, but I also had in my Risky Week Island Hopping, which on cold I absolutely do not like. On warming, I do not like either. But the rose in this mask this up, because to me, I am not a fan of salty sea air notes. I really can't stand salty sea air notes. An aquatic note for me has to have something sweet, maybe a little bit of fruit, maybe a little bit of floral. I do like fresh, but I need a bit of sweetness with it, which is why other aquatic sea notes I tend to enjoy a little bit more. But this is just salty sea air to me. But it did go very nicely with that Simply Rose, because that Simply Rose is so strong, so overly floral. I was able to cut down that salty sea air note a little bit. And I just couldn't bring myself to warm this by itself in the bathroom and laundry like I intended. So I decided to mix it with this to try and cut down that salty sea air note. So it did work a bit. I do have a few other bars of this from when it was in my Scentsy Club. 1 or 2 left, I think, maybe, because it's no longer in my Scentsy Club. So I probably will at some stage get rid of the rest of Island Hopping the same way, because this is a scent that did mask something that I did not really enjoy. So the other one I did try to make an effort to get through. I've still got 3 cubes left, which I will probably try to at some stage use up the rest. This is what I did put in the laundry and the bathroom, and that was Up the Adventure Is Out There. So this to me is just a clean, almost a glass cleaner or a bathroom cleaner, toilet cleaner type scent. Not picking up any of the fruits that were described in the description. Comes across maybe a little bit lemony, but it's just very fresh, very clean. I don't hate it, but I'm not in love with it, and it would not be another repurchase for me. So this one surprised me. This was from Pumpkin Parcel's Wax Melt the Impala, and this is the one I did get into my son's room. I thought I would absolutely hate this. On cold, I detest this. I can't stand it. It smells, so the Impala is from the Supernatural theme box that she did, and that's the car that Dean and Sam drive around, their sexy sleek black Impala car. And it smells like someone's been drag racing, and you get that burnt rubber on cold. Absolutely hate it. Why would you want to smell burnt rubber in your house? So when it's warming, totally different. I'm not going to say I fell in love with it. I'm not going to say it would be a repurchase, because I'm just not into overly smoky scents. But warming, it was more like a bonfire or a campfire. That smoky embers from a campfire with just a touch of sweetness, like a toasted marshmallow. It would be kind of what I would imagine. Maybe we don't get it here in Australia, but Region 1 get a scent called around the campfire with Scentsy. So it would be kind of maybe what I would imagine that would smell similar to like. And I didn't hate it, and I wouldn't repurchase it. I didn't love it, but I didn't detest it as much on cold as I did on warming. So, Under Seagull, this was from Pumpkin Parcel. I think this was from the Nightmare Before Christmas mystery box. So this was just basically a salty sea air again note. I finished it off in the bathroom and the laundry to get rid of it. Definitely not a repurchase. Did not like this particular scent. One I did quite enjoy though from the Pumpkin Parcel, and this was from the Supernatural mystery box, and that was Wickery Bridge. So Wickery Bridge, I was expecting it to be more woodsy than what it was. It had to me like a passion fruit note about it. This bright, fruity, tropical note that just reminded me of passion fruit. And then there was like this sweet, earthy, woodsy undertone to it. It was quite pretty. I will say it wasn't long lasting though. Only lasted about a day in my bedroom. And the last one, even though it technically wasn't part of my risky week, but it's one that I wouldn't typically warm, so I did throw it in because I still had a few more cubes. I had, I think, 3 cubes left, was Duchess from the Bring Back My Bar. So this is just a cologne-y note to me. It does come across a little bit musky, a little bit powdery. I've still got 1 cube to get through, so I will probably use that up next in the bathroom and laundry to finish that bar off, because I do have a thing about having partially used bars. I tend to try and keep enough warmers in an area where I can get through 1 bar at a time, so these will go into my like partial drawer I have, and I'll probably, before I reach for another bathroom or laundry scent, try and get through these 3 bars, because I've got enough open now that for the rest of the month I'm covered for the laundry and bathroom. So although they're not my favourite, it's going to kind of annoy me having partially opened bars. So that is what I got through for Risky Week. Let's quickly talk about what I didn't get through. So these will go back into my little stash. I might grab them out at some stage in our little melting thing. So this is another partially used bar, which I do have to get through at some stage. I just struggle with this scent though. Bayberry and currant, not a favourite of mine. I have this in another full bar. I probably will end up gifting the other full bar. It's a little bit too herbal, a little bit too grounded for me. Albus Dumbledore. I may even keep this in and use this at some stage, trying to keep the house smelling clean and fresh. It smells a little bit lemonade-y to me. It's meant to mimic sherbet lemons. I didn't get around to using that. I didn't get around to using Hermione Granger, which is spearmint and fresh parchment. I'm picking up a lot of the spearmint in that. This I would have got around to melting if it weren't for my daughter's room going into quarantine. So this is what I intended putting into my daughter's room before my husband had to go into quarantine, and that was Igor along with jellied brains. So these in all possibility would have ended up in that melting basket if those 4 bars were still, warmers were still available. The Mix It collection, I ended up using island hopping over that. Justice League, so I didn't get through as much in the laundry and bathroom as I intended, so that was one I had set aside for the laundry and bathroom. Another one I had set aside for the laundry and bathroom that I didn't get through was Pumpkin Parcel Avada Kedavra. This one I didn't get through. I hadn't decided where I was going to melt this. This was the kind of unknown scent to me that came as a thank you sample, and I smell different things every time I smell this. At the moment I'm smelling coffee, but I don't know if that's because I had the coffee bag sitting on it with a little bit of floral. I think because it's unknown and it's so white coloured, it's very hard for me to determine what that actually smells like. Winifred Sanford. It's kind of soapy but incensey and sandalwoody at the same time. I wasn't sure where I wanted to warm that. Monkey Farts, that would have gone in my daughter's room and I probably would have got through that one. Candy Bouquet, I was thinking my daughter's room, maybe the kids' room, but I was thinking my daughter's room because it has a floral and a lolly note in that at the same time, and that was what I didn't get through. There were a few bars in from the week before that I didn't get through either, so I didn't get through finishing off Brayburn from the Bring Back My Bar collection. That was from Clam Week, and I was also intending to warm a bar of, well, it's now called Polar Bear Hugs, but this was from when I had it in my Scentsy Club the previous year because it's a year old, Eskimo Kiss. I was intending to warm through that as well from Clam Shell Week, which I didn't get through. So that's what I got through, that's what I didn't get through. So I will probably put some of these away and put together a new melting basket for the next week. So it will be interesting to see what I plan on melting next week. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, what I warmed, what I got through for Risky Week. I hope you all got through what you intended to get through. I hope you enjoyed some of what you got through, and I look forward to watching everyone else's videos. I hope you're all staying safe, and I will speak to you all later. Until then, bye for now.